Shanann and Christopher Lee Watts were an American couple that lived in Frederick, Colorado, and had been married 6 years with 2 daughters, Bella and Celeste, and a 3rd child on the way. Shanann was 15 weeks pregnant with a child they had named Nico. Mr. Chris Watts worked at Anadarko Petroleum, and Shanann worked at a multi-level media company called Level. It should be noted, however, that Chris Watts has pled guilty to all charges in order to avoid the death penalty. Between Chris Watts and his wife Shanann Watts is a story of infidelity and a double life that ultimately led to cold-blooded murder. Shanann was active on various social media platforms. She posted frequently to Instagram as well as Twitter, showcasing what was previously known as a happy marriage with a happy family, often showing her 2 daughters and husband Chris in various videos. She filmed Chris's reaction to her telling him that she was pregnant. Much of their lives together was openly displayed to the public.
I like that shirt. Really?
Really?
That's awesome. So pink means...
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just the test.
That's awesome.
Unbeknownst to Shanann, Chris was unfaithful in their marriage and had begun an affair with a co-worker. Their marriage had begun to fall apart as summer of 2018 came to a close and fall began. This was indicated by Shanann in texts with her best friend and neighbor Nicole Atkinson. It also turns out multiple mistresses have now come forward, indicating that some of them had no idea he was married or even had children. This video will serve as a timeline of events that led up to the murders and eventual guilty plea. Any and all footage used is public record and is intended for educational purposes only. This video is not monetized in any way, and I give my deepest regard to anyone affected by this case. This is an all too common occurrence in modern America, and a tragedy that we can all learn from. If you're having trouble in your personal life or any trouble with your mental health, please reach out. In the United States at 1-800-273-8255 and in Canada at 1-866-277-3553. The family seemed like the quintessential American dream. However, that facade quickly began to evaporate on August 13th when Shanann seemingly went AWOL on her best friend and neighbor, who by day's end had called the police after noticing multiple red flags and essentials that Shanann and the girls could not live without.
All County Communications. My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine. She's not answering the door. She's not responding to text messages, phone calls, and there's no movement in the house whatsoever.
Essentials like her car keys, her cell phone, her purse, and medication that she needed every day. Body cam footage shows the neighbor explain the disappearance and red flags to the first responding officer on the afternoon of August 13th.
So my friend, we were out of town for a business trip this weekend.
Right.
And I dropped her off at 2 o'clock this morning. She's 15 weeks pregnant. She wasn't feeling well, and she had a doctor's appointment this morning at 9, and I told her to let me know if she needed me to take her. She's got 2 little girls. And she was very distraught over the weekend, wasn't eating normally or drinking, and we kept trying to force it on her because she's pregnant. Her husband and her supposedly are separating, but she didn't know this. She thought they were just having issues. He disclosed that to me today.
Okay.
Because I called him and I was like, have you talked or heard from Shanann since she left for work this morning? Because I can't get a hold of her. I've called, I've texted. Her car's in the garage. Her shoes she wears every single day are by the front door.
She only has one vehicle?
No, they only have the one vehicle in his work truck.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. There's
She
not
took the
a...
girls and went on a play date, but they're 4 and 2. She went on a play date. Why wouldn't she take a car? They're both in car seats.
Because Mr. Watts is not home, the officer walks around the premises, trying several windows, knocking on each. Unable to gain entrance, the officer calls Chris to gain access to the home. We later come to find out that Chris Watts had just finished dumping the 3 bodies at a location his employer owned and was arriving home to the police for the first time. One can only imagine what was going through Chris's mind as he walked up to his house to greet the officer, knowing full well all Shanann's personal items were in plain sight inside the home. As no foul play was detected when the officer walked through the entire house, and the officer conducted standard questions given the circumstances of Shanann's personal items still being in the home, which leads to this encounter in Shanann's closet between Chris and the first responding officer. This is compelling body language from Chris that at the time could easily be identified as grief or confusion after not hearing from his wife and kids for over 24 hours now, but that we now know was sheer guilt and panic.
It didn't look like she went through and packed up a bag or anything.
This and all that on the bottom, so it'd be kind of hard to tell if she took a little bit, or it'd be easy to tell if she took a lot, but it's hard to tell if she took a little bit or not.
Okay. She tell you anything about leaving, moving out?
Not moving out. I mean, the last time I talked to her was this morning. She said she was going to take the kids to a friend's house, and then she asked where she was going to be. And then I've texted her today. I've never heard anything, but the car's here.
Right.
Are here, unless somebody came and picked her up. But the people that I know, nobody's heard from her. Nobody's seen her.
Right. Definitely an odd one.
The officer spent a fair amount of time assessing the situation and clearly indicated that this was odd. All of Shanann's personal items were at the house, particularly items she needed, and she was nowhere to be found. Definitely odd behavior for Shanann, and Chris was not providing any answers. He paced around and answered typical questions, makes erroneous phone calls pretending to make an effort to find his pregnant wife and toddler daughters.
There's no off text messages unless.
Can you look at your camera to see from your security system to see when she left?
It's unless they left out the front door.
Because you told me that she went on a play date with the girls, and then
That's what she told me.
Addie said you told her that
She went with some friends with. She went to go to a friend's house with the kids. That's why I knew they weren't at school.
Addie said you told her that she left.
He does this for almost 20 minutes before the officer determines that there's no real signs of foul play, and although Chris did seem jittery and otherwise very anxious, the officer knew that there were really no grounds for suspicion beyond needing to further investigate, which they did. This initial contact occurred on August 13th, as is indicated by the body cam footage. By Tuesday, August 14th at 7 a.m., detectives requested a press release about the status of the 3 missing persons in order to seek assistance from the Colorado Bureau of Investigations and ultimately the FBI. By Tuesday afternoon, 9 News was at the Watts home interviewing Chris, where Chris was quoted saying not having his family there was earth-shattering.
The most important thing, I'm not sure, I'll just wait for you to ask a question, but I want them wherever they're at. I have no inclination to where they're at right now. I've exhausted every friend that I know of, and every friend that I have has called friends that Shanann has that maybe I didn't know about, and it's just it was vanished. She's not, when I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. She wasn't here, kids weren't here. I have no idea where they went, and it's just earth-shattering. I don't feel like this is even real right now. It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from. I texted her a few times and called her. I didn't get a response, which that was a little off. And then her friend Nicole showed up about a little afternoon. I could see it on the doorbell camera, and I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" She's like, "I can't get a hold of Shanann." And that's when I was just like, all right, something's not right. If she's not answering the door, and she said the car was here, it's I gotta go home. And we got here, got inside, and nobody was here. Nothing. Yeah, I mean, nothing. everybody's gonna have their own opinion on anything like this. I just want them people to know that I want my family back. Like, I want them safe, and I want them here. Like, this house is not the same. I want them here. Like, this house is not the same. This house is not the same.
By the afternoon of the following day, August 15th, police conducted a drone search of the oil and gas site where they believed the bodies were buried. This is an oil and gas site owned by Chris's employer. On the afternoon of Wednesday, August 15th, police spotted a bedsheet that matched the pattern of several pillowcases and bedsheets from the Watts home. However, the bodies are not yet discovered. By Wednesday evening, police have questioned Chris and learned of the affair that he was having with a coworker. Prior to Chris's confession, he had agreed to conduct a polygraph test. He failed miserably, and here is the polygraph expert letting him know how poorly he did and that she does not feel he was being honest.
So it is completely clear that you were not honest during the testing, and I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test.
Okay.
Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened. And I feel like you're probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise.
Chris,
I know.
stop. It's time. Just stop for a minute. Take a deep breath. I want you to take a deep breath right now.
There's a reason you feel sick to your stomach. And when people hold stuff inside, it makes you physically ill. And I can just tell on your face, I could tell from the second you walked in that you were wanting to just come clean and just be done with this. And I appreciate that because you knew sitting down in that chair that you weren't going to pass today. And you knew I was going to find out because I told you that. And then you continued to stay knowing that you could, at the end, say, you know what, I just need to get this off my chest. Like, I just need to tell you what happened. We're not here to play games. We're not here to do any of that with you. We just want to know what happened. So can you start from the beginning and tell us what happened?
Everything that I've told you, I did not lie on this polygraph. I don't know how much I could tell you right now. Like, I did not.
It's not even an option right now because you did not pass the polygraph. So I know you were being deceptive. So that's not even an issue right now. The issue right now is what happened to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. That's the issue right now.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about that. I know you want to tell us. I can see it in your face. Holding this lie in is going to do nothing for you.
I know this. Like,
okay.
I'm not like trying to like cover things up. Like,
yeah, but you kind of are because it's normal. Normal people would do that. Normal people that make a mistake initially are going to go, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. That's normal. I would expect that. It's just like if you ask your kid, you know, did you write on the wall? And they go, no. And you're like, you have a marker on your hand. Like, I know you just wrote on the wall. And they're like, oh, okay. That's a natural reaction that someone's going to initially lie about something like that and then eventually tell the truth. So this is your eventually telling the truth time. This is where the rubber meets the road, Chris. Like, don't let this continue any longer, please.
I'm not trying to make anything continue. Like, I want them back home, like.
But you know they're not coming back home. You know that.
I don't know in the back of my head. I hope they come back home.
But you know they're not.
I hope they come back home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know they're not coming back home. That is God's honest truth.
Through interrogations, Watts was whittled down to agreeing that he would tell the truth after he spoke with his father. Police promptly brought his father in. Once his father got in the room, things really started to pick up. Chris began to speak in very hushed tones, more than likely trying to avoid the audio recording, and from the detective's perspective was a dead giveaway to his guilt. He didn't actually come forward with the story. His father started to ask directed questions about him hurting her, and he very quietly indicated that she, Shanann, was hurting the kids, hurting the 2 little girls, in a slanderous attempt to try to justify his actions. Detectives knew full and well that this was highly contrary to their understanding of Shanann, highly contrary to her social media posts about her kids, not even including his body language. It just surely indicated that he was fabricating a story, or having a story fabricated for him from his father. But really, as a means to get this information out of him, he gave Chris very direct questions in direct relation to what Chris was saying, in order to get him to keep telling whatever story he had in his head. This of course came out to be completely false. All it is a sociopath trying to get out of what he's done.
I don't want to protect her. What? I don't want to protect her. You don't want to protect her? I don't know what else to say. What happened? Huh? She hurt him? Yeah. And then I freaked out. Well, no, I freaked out and I hurt her. You hurt her? Did they leave after that for a long time? So she started hurting the kids. They were. Probably you guys want to have. She smelled it. Or choking. No. I didn't hear anything. When I was downstairs, I came back up and they were gone. I don't know, like me talking to her about that. Talking to her about separation and everything, about like, she lost it. I don't know, like, what else to say, like, I freaked out. I didn't see people on there. Those are my kids. So she, it's not that one time, you were leaving this and go to work. And she freaked out over the separation and everything. Like, she laid back down, but that's not downstairs, but I heard like a little commotion upstairs, but I didn't think anything of it. And then you went back upstairs and she was... Never. I could see, like, she was on top of me. What, choking her or... Did she kill her? They're blue. Both of them? Yeah. She choked both of them to death. I freaked out at the same thing with her. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say though. I couldn't, like, call the cops about it. So then what did you do? Haul the bodies off or something? I mean, I didn't know what else to do. I freaked out. I didn't know nothing else to do. I didn't know what to do. So she killed both CC and Bella, choked them to death. You lost it and choke her or... That's just rage. I hadn't...
By 11:30 p.m. on the 15th of August, Mr. Christopher Watts was arrested on 3 counts of first-degree murder and tampering with evidence.
The next
next step is he will be advised tomorrow morning, as I said, of the charges and the possible penalties. Following that, he has the right to a preliminary hearing. I don't know if the intention is to set it for a preliminary hearing tomorrow or to set it for a status conference somewhere down the road.
The following afternoon on August 16th, Chris Watts had his first court appearance, only saying 3 words of yes and yes sir before being taken back to his cell. Circumstantial evidence strongly indicated Chris's involvement. However, it was still largely unknown as to the what, how, and when of this crime, the details of which would be revealed very soon. And Chris's lies and sinister plan were about to be public record. The same afternoon of his first court appearance, August 16th, Shanann's body was found in a shallow grave, and the 2 children were then found inside oil tanks located near the grave of their mother. Court documents show that Bella and Celeste Watts were strangled and had been left in an oil well filled with crude oil for 4 days. The following day, on Friday, August 17th, autopsies are performed on the 3 bodies, and by nightfall, hundreds have gathered outside the Watts home to pay tribute to Shanann and the girls. The following Monday, the Weld County District Attorney's Office announces 9 different charges against Mr. Christopher Watts.
Count 1 alleges that on or about August 13, 2018, Christopher Lee Watts unlawfully, feloniously, after deliberation, and with the intent to cause the death of a person other than himself, caused the death of Shanann Watts, and that crime is classified as murder in the first degree, a class 1 felony. Count 2 alleges murder in the first degree, also a class 1 felony, and it reads that between and including August 12, 2018 and August 13, 2018, Christopher Lee Watts unlawfully, feloniously, after deliberation, and with the intent to cause the death of a person other than himself, caused the death of Bella Watts in violation of. Count 3 alleges murder in the first degree, a class 1 felony, and specifically it alleges that between and including August 12, 2018 and August 13, 2018, Christopher Lee Watts unlawfully, feloniously, after deliberation, and with the intent to cause the death of a person other than himself, caused the death of Celeste Watts in violation of Colorado Revised Statutes 18-3-102, subsection 1, subsection 8. Do you understand? Count 4 alleges murder in the first degree, a class 1 felony. It alleges that between and including August 12, 2018 and August 13, 2018, Christopher Lee Watts unlawfully, feloniously, and knowingly caused the death of Bella Watts, a child who had not yet attained 12 years of age, and the defendant was in a position of trust with respect to the victim in violation of Colorado Revised Statutes 18-3-102, subsection 1, subsection F. Do you understand? Count 5 alleges murder in the first degree, a class 1 felony. It alleges that between and including August 12, 2018 and August 13, 2018, Christopher Lee Watts unlawfully, feloniously, and knowingly caused the death of Celeste Watts, a child who had not yet attained 12 years of age, and the defendant was in a position of trust with respect to the victim in violation of Colorado Revised Statutes 18-3-102, subsection 1, subsection F. Do you understand? With regard to these first 5 counts, the minimum sentence that the court could impose if convicted is life imprisonment in the Colorado Department of Corrections, and the maximum death, the sentence is death. Do you understand?
At the end of the day, there is only one person who can truly know why this crime occurred, and that is Mr. Christopher Lee Watts, who will be serving life in prison. Whether it was due to marital struggles, infidelity, or some sort of psychotic break, perhaps we will find out as time goes on, and as Chris continues to serve out his life sentence. There is much that I left out of this video, as the interrogations with Chris, his mistress, and all of the involved parties spanned several hours. As well, the body cam footage was extensive. The court proceedings is somewhere around 2,000 pages worth of documents, and there is an abundance of evidence and information regarding this case. This is potentially one of the most publicized cases of 2018, with many individuals taking to social media to express their disgust and utter condolences to the tragedy that is Shanann Watts and her 3 children. I decided to make this video because there's a wealth of information and I found myself enthralled with this story. I plan on producing more videos like this that cover a variety of different topics. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments as well if there's any particular topic you would like me to cover, and I will be happy to oblige. Thank you once again, and I will see you in the next video.